Okay, let's get into this. We usually think of songs as, just catchy tunes, something to dance to. But if you actually strip all that away, what you're left with is this incredibly complex machine built for telling a story. A song is basically the ultimate portable narrative.
And what's so fascinating is how far back that tradition goes. I mean, this isn't a new thing. Storytelling in songs started thousands of years ago. We're talking way before people could even read or write.
So music wasn't just for fun, it was a tool,
Yeah,
a memory device.
exactly.
Ancient civilizations didn't have history books, so they used melodies to remember really crucial information like historical events or even their whole family tree.
Right, because the structure of a song is just perfect for remembering things. If you put a long, complicated story to a rhythm and a melody, your brain can recall it so much more easily than just spoken words. The music sort of gives the information a place to
And
hang.
these stories had to travel, right? There was no
Sure.
internet, no radio.
So you had these traveling performers. They were the original media stars, really. They'd go from village to village, passing down these huge, complex stories about heroes and gods.
With just simple instruments, I assume, like harps or drums.
Yeah, simple instruments, but they were critical. The rhythm set the pace, it helped the performer remember the words, so music was absolutely essential. It was the only way to make sure these important stories survived through time. The structure kept it all together.
Okay, so if a song is a story, it needs a blueprint. You can't just throw words at a melody and hope it works, especially not in just 3 minutes. That structure has to be super efficient.
It really does. A good story song follows a very specific, organized path to keep you engaged and make sure you understand what's happening.
So let's break down that blueprint. What are the main parts songwriters are using?
Well, you've usually got three key components working together. First up, you have the verses. The verses are the engine of the plot. They're where the action unfolds, where characters get introduced, and where the story moves forward. It's the who, what, and where.
And then you hit the chorus. That's the emotional heart of it all, right?
That's it, exactly. The chorus is the anchor. It's the central theme, that big emotional reaction to whatever's happening in the verses. And that's why it's usually the catchiest part, the part you sing along to. It repeats to drill home the main message of the whole story.
Okay, so verses are the details, the chorus is the main idea. What about the bridge? It always feels a bit different.
The bridge is the curveball it's meant to be. It breaks that verse-chorus cycle on purpose. It's where you often get a sudden twist or a change in perspective. Maybe the character has a big realization. It's built to crank up the tension right before you get back to that final, familiar chorus.
So even in a 3-minute song, you're still getting that classic 3-act structure you see in movies.
Precisely. You have the beginning in the first couple of verses, which sets the scene. Then you have the middle, which is the main conflict, the most exciting part. That usually builds up right around the bridge.
And the ending brings it all home.
Yep. The ending gives you the resolution. Or maybe just a final thought on what happened. It gives the listener a sense of closure, a clear takeaway. And that whole organized structure is what makes the storytelling so effective.
Okay, this is where it gets really tricky for the songwriter.
Yeah.
Character? A novelist gets hundreds of pages. A songwriter has to make you care about someone in, 90 seconds.
That's the challenge. The language has to be incredibly efficient. Every single word counts.
So they use that technique of showing versus telling. They don't just say the character was sad. They'll describe something like the character staring at an empty chair or watching the rain fall. It hits you harder.
And those tiny details do so much work. Think about it. If you describe someone wearing a brand new suit versus someone in muddy work boots.
You immediately know so much about their life.
Right. Their job, their background, maybe even their personality. It's a shortcut.
And sometimes they even put direct dialogue into the lyrics.
Yes. Instead of a narrator just explaining what she said, you hear her actual voice in the song. Like she said, "Don't you wait up for me." That gives the character a real voice.
And you can't forget the singer's role in all this.
Oh, absolutely. The performer becomes that character. The way they sing a line with joy or sadness or anger, that delivery is what makes the story feel real and connects you, the listener, to what's happening.
Okay, so we have the story's structure and its characters. But what about the camera angle? Who is actually telling us this story?
That's narrative perspective, and it completely changes how you experience the song. It decides if you're watching from a distance or if you're right inside the character's head.
So if a song uses the first person, if it uses the word I, what does that do to us as listeners?
It creates this immediate personal bond. The singer is talking directly to you. It feels like you're reading their diary or they're telling you a secret. It's incredibly powerful for sharing someone's inner thoughts and feelings.
I always feel more connected to a song when they use I. I guess that's not an accident.
Not at all. It's totally by design. That's why you see it so much in genres like blues and folk music, where that personal, emotional truth is everything. When you hear I, you feel like you're right there with them.
But you can't tell every story that way. I mean, what if you're singing about a huge historical battle? You can't be stuck in one person's head.
And that's where the third person comes in, the all-knowing narrator. This gives the writer total freedom. They can jump between different scenes, follow multiple characters, describe massive landscapes. It's perfect for those epic tales you find in, say, progressive rock or some narrative hip-hop. You get to see the whole picture.
And to make those stories even deeper, writers use tools that make us think a bit harder. We're talking about more poetic stuff now.
We are. We're talking about metaphor and symbolism. Songwriters use metaphors to tell a bigger story without being so literal. A stormy sea might not just be a stormy sea. It could represent the character's chaotic life.
Right. It adds layers. It's why you can listen to a great song over and over and find something new each time.
And that's the magic of symbolism, too. Symbols pack huge ideas into small, memorable images. A rusted key could stand for a forgotten secret. A faded photograph might represent lost memories.
So these little objects become placeholders for huge human emotions.
Yes, and that encourages you to interpret the meaning for yourself based on your own life. It turns a simple story into something much more profound.
Okay, let's switch gears from the words to the actual music, because the composition itself is a huge part of building the world of the story.
Oh, it's fundamental. The sound tells you where you are and how you should feel before you even process the first word.
Let's talk about pace and mood. If a song suddenly hits you with high notes and a really fast tempo, what's that telling you?
It's telling you there's excitement or danger or action. Your brain is wired to recognize that as high energy, but if the music drops down to these low, slow notes, you immediately feel something else. Maybe it's mystery or sadness or a quiet, empty space.
And composers will even add sound effects, right? Like a ticking clock or the sound of rain.
Yes, to make you feel like you're physically there. It's all about building that atmosphere.
We also have to talk about instrument choice.
Yeah.
That's like a time machine. If you hear an acoustic guitar and a banjo.
You're probably in a rural, maybe American setting. It grounds the story in a folk tradition.
But if you hear a lot of distorted electronic synths.
Then you know you're somewhere else entirely. A futuristic city, maybe, or a crowded nightclub. The instruments set the time and place.
And the volume, the dynamics, that's like a signal for the big moments.
Absolutely. Composers use dynamics, the changes in loudness, to signal turning points. When the music swells and gets really loud, you know the main conflict is happening. And when it gets quiet, down to just one instrument, it's a moment of reflection. Every sound choice is part of the story.
So we've got the building blocks. Let's look at a few genres that are basically defined by their love of telling stories.
And we have to start with the ballad. It's one of the oldest and most famous forms of musical storytelling.
And they're always about big, dramatic stuff, right?
Mm.
Love, tragedy.
Always. Big themes, heroic deeds, often about regular people in amazing situations. And crucially, ballads have a very repetitive structure.
Why so repetitive?
Because they were originally used to spread the news. Before newspapers, ballads were how people learned about recent battles or major events. The repetition made the story easy to remember and pass on accurately.
Okay, fast forwarding a bit, let's
Yeah.
talk about country music.
Country music is arguably the modern genre most dedicated to narrative. The songs are almost always stories. They use plain, everyday language to talk about life's challenges, hard work, family, loss, usually in a small town setting.
And it's the specific details that make them so powerful.
Yes, the specificity is key. They'll name the make of the truck or the street in the town, and instruments like the fiddle and banjo aren't just there for sound. They root the stories in a specific cultural tradition.
Now for the biggest, most complex version of this, musical theater.
Right. This is storytelling at its most intense level, where you're combining music with acting and dance. In a musical, every single song has a job to do. It either has to move the plot forward or explain what a character is thinking or feeling in a way that dialogue just can't.
Like the famous I Want song at the beginning of a show.
Exactly. That song establishes the hero's main goal. Then later you might get a song that marks a huge turning point. The lyrics have to be crystal clear because the audience depends on them to follow a story that's 2 or 3 hours long.
And finally, a more modern invention that uses an entire album as its canvas, the concept album.
This is such a cool evolution of the idea. Instead of just one song telling a story, every track on the album contributes to one single long narrative. It's like a novel with 12 chapters.
So you really have to listen to the tracks in order.
You absolutely do. The artist wants you to follow the plot from start to finish, and they often use sound effects between songs or even release short films to go along with them, which just proves that the desire for a deep, long musical story is still very much alive.
What really stands out to me is that no matter the era, whether it's an ancient ballad or a brand new concept album, this need to tell stories through music just keeps evolving.
It does. It's such a powerful way for us to share who we are, where we come from. Music has this unique ability to turn a simple plot into a really sophisticated piece of art that connects with people on a deep level.
So the next time you hear a song, any song, ask yourself,
Yeah.
if this were the only thing to survive from our time, what story would it be telling about us? Good luck with your studies.